So I don't understand why consciousness takes form as beings which experience pain and suffering. Let me rephrase that question. I don't understand why consciousness takes forms as beings which experiences pleasure and happiness. So the reason that I say that is because you don't understand why pain and suffering happens, but you're completely okay with the fact that it takes pleasure and happiness, which equally doesn't make sense, but you're okay with that side because it's pleasurable and happy. I understand that by thinking this, I am resisting what is, but it doesn't make sense to me. But why does it make sense that you experience pleasure and happiness? Why is that more sensical? Because I like it. So you're trying to make it into an existential question when it's not an existential question. What you're saying is, I don't like pain and suffering. But you're trying to make it more than what it is. I don't understand why consciousness experiences pain and suffering. But why is it that you understand that it experiences pleasure and happiness? Why is that more sensical to you? This is a really good question. And please, Ashus, try and answer it to me now. Why is it more sensical that it gives you pleasure and happiness? Why does that make more sense? Because it's like a rejection of life in that question. It's like a rejection of those two experiences in that question, but you're putting it as if in some way you're victim to it. I understand that by thinking that I am resisting this, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't consciousness just take form as things which can only experience happiness? But why does happiness make more sense? I understand that suffering in general is caused by misunderstanding with the body-mind, but why does consciousness create a world in which misidentification is possible? So Asushans answers, because it's a positive feeling and I don't understand why consciousness would want to experience negative things like pain and suffering. Then you don't understand consciousness. So this isn't the problem. The problem is you don't understand who you truly are. If you understand who you truly are, then you see the relevance of the opposites. Day and night, pain and pain and pleasure, good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark, yin and yang, male and female. Why does positive feeling make more sense to you? Because you're personifying consciousness and believing that consciousness is like a human that likes pain and likes pleasure and doesn't like pain. But couldn't a world have been created where the opposite didn't exist? There is only pleasure. Well, okay, maybe, who knows? I'm sure there's all possibilities. How would you know you're experiencing pleasure though if you didn't have pain? But okay, maybe there could be a world. But why is that an existential question? That's got nothing to do with consciousness or who you are. That's to do with you, and you're like, oh, I don't want to experience pain. Unless you're prepared to get over that and get over being victimized by life, then you won't go any further. You're not victim to life. You are life. You're stuck in a victim story, Ashush, and then you're putting it onto the existential and the absolute. Why is it your mum's grumpy? Why is it you didn't get top marks at school? I guess I'm just personifying consciousness because I don't really understand it. I suspect that you don't want to experience pain. That's not going to work. If your body wasn't set up to experience pain in its current form, so if the body wasn't it wasn't reactive to things that caused it pain, you would be eaten by something. Sorry, I got a little distracted. My dog is having a hissy fit. Again, I think it's like exactly the same time as last time. The cat comes up to torment her. She is not happy. So what's actually happening is you're not seeing clearly what it is to be human. How would a human, like, I mean, try and think of a more intelligent way. Like so it's as if the human's acting independently, but it's not. But it's as if it is. So if I touched this spoon and it was burning hot, I let go of it, the body lets go of it because there is a sensation of pain and it lets go of it. What would happen if we wiped out pain? My hand would be burnt. So then you could say, okay, so why doesn't consciousness invent an animal that doesn't experience pain and only experiences pleasure? It would be a completely different life. Sorry if I hit the microphone then. It would be a completely different life. Like, it wouldn't be like this life. So you're saying, why can't consciousness create a completely different life where it only experiences pleasure? It wouldn't look like this life. The amazing thing about this life is it's apparently self-evolving, even though it's not self-evolving, but it's apparently self-evolving. So it seems as if it has independence, but it doesn't actually have independence. But it's like surprising. Anything could happen. So a tree grows and it's thriving, and then suddenly a poison comes and then it stops thriving and something else grows from that. But it's not that consciousness has planned it out and before. It's almost like it's put in rules, like it puts in rules like we put in rules to a computer. It's put in rules. So the tree doesn't suddenly turn into an elf or an elk. It remains a tree. So it's got these rules to it, these apparent rules. And it follows those rules, and then it's like anything could happen. It's complete mystery as to what could happen. Anything could happen. There's that song. So actually consciousness is creating innocently without a brain. It's simply creating. It's not, the human has a brain, so the human thinks, why is it I experience pain, and why is it I experience pleasure, and I want to avoid experiencing pain, I only want to experience pleasure, and then it spends a whole life fixating on that dynamic. Whereas if you go one out, it's so perfect. It's so goddamn perfect. It's this play happening that's effortless, and it's mysterious as to what's going to happen. We don't know the outcome, and it's exciting. The difficulty is the suffering comes when you're just totally involved in that person. But that's why you've come to this talks, because you're open to another possibility. And the other possibility is right here. It's that which is experiencing, which isn't separate from the experience. It is the experience. So who you are now is this infinite expression. And what you're identified with is this person that's trying to avoid pain, which is the way it's meant to be. So if this gets burning hot, we drop it. but you're fixated on this person that's trying to avoid pain and get to pleasure, and you believe when you get to pleasure you'll be free, whereas your freedom is here right now in everything that's appearing, which is not a thing. Because where does everything appear from now? Where is this life appearing from? To become obsessed with pleasure and pain is the wrong place to look. It's what deluded the human in the first place. Obviously, if you're being freezing, then the human body moves towards warmth. But that isn't freedom. That's an endless cycle on the worldly level. The freedom is the appearances. And where is everything appearing from? Your mind says the past. That isn't true. Where is everything appearing from? And that's who you are. You're not the limitations of the character. Okay, so your question number 2. I have the habit of compulsively thinking whenever I am undergoing a problem in my life. This can last hours and usually comes with a lot of suffering. However, sometimes this compulsive thinking actually has positive effects where I actually come across potential solutions to my problems that I wouldn't have discovered had I not compulsively thought. I'm afraid that letting go and surrendering this type of thinking will also result in a diminished ability to find solutions to my problems. Thank you. Yeah, that's not going to work, compulsively thinking to fix your problems. It's going to increase compulsive thinking. That's not going to work. So what happens in that situation is you have a feeling that's very uncomfortable. So say feeling out of control. You need to identify it. I feel out of control. I feel like I'm going to die. I feel like this is unbearable. I feel like this is weighty. And this is the answer on the human level. You find where you feel that in the body. Where do I feel that? You have interest in it. You isolate it to where it's felt. It could be that it's felt all over, but normally it's felt in a specific place. And then you ask, what is it that I want? I want to feel loved. I want to feel included. I want to feel safe. And you let the positive vibration of that pick you up. At first, when you do it, it might just be really uncomfortable because you're in suffering, but you let that positivity recondition you out of that. And it's effort on the human level. That will not lead you to freedom. The human doesn't become free. But that is how to fix compulsive thinking. And the compulsive thinking is an effect of seeking. It's the belief that thinking will save you. Thinking will not save you. The savior is what you are, which is only found here. Easy. Whoa, impressing. Very beautiful. Thanks, Frederick. I'm not sure if you were talking about a stew chomi, but we'll say thank you from both of us.